Welcome to Regeneration Biomedical. I am Dr. Christopher Duma, the founder and president. We are the first and only to receive FDA clearance for a phase 1 trial allowing us to inject stem cells directly into the human brain for Alzheimer's disease. And in addition, we are currently paving the way for similar clearance for Parkinson's disease, ALS, multiple sclerosis, and traumatic brain injury. The concept of our approach has come from the failures of Big Pharma to make any substantial impact on these diseases for the past 50 years. The reasons for this are twofold. First, it is almost impossible to deliver a drug to the brain by pill or even intravenously because of the blood-brain barrier. And secondly, all attempts thus far have been to use antibodies to remove the end products of brain cell destruction and not fixing the primary cause of that destruction. It's like having a broken refrigerator that produces spoiled food, but all you're doing is removing the spoiled food. It makes no sense to do this if the broken refrigerator is still the problem. One must fix the broken refrigerator, and this is what Regeneration Biomedical has set out to do, but using stem cells. We all have stem cells in our brains, but evolutionarily, we have lost the ability to tap into them to repair our damaged neurons. The rat, however, uses these stem cells all the time to replenish their sense of smell, and this is for their survival. But how does one get stem cells into the actual brain substance itself? Our approach at RBI was to inject the stem cells into the fluid cavities of the rat brain to see if they would percolate into and throughout every nook and cranny of the brain. And indeed they did. We found that we could tap the ventricles of the rat brain, and then after histologic examination, we saw that those stem cells actually broke through the barrier of the ventricle and percolated and permeated the normal brain tissue. This revelation, this finding, allowed us, through Institutional Review Board approval, to do the same in humans. We started this work in 2015. We injected 39 patients with a total of 158 injections over a 5-year period. This was the first work of its kind in the history of medicine. We invented our proprietary approach to inject the cells into the hollow, fluid-filled cavities of the brain, called ventricles, through an implanted reservoir under the scalp. This served as an access port to inject the cells and also allowed us to draw off cerebrospinal fluid for analysis. The process was to perform a liposuction, garner the patient's own adipose-derived stem cells, and inject them into the brain through the implanted reservoir port. Our results were nothing less than miraculous. In Alzheimer's patients, we saw stabilization and even improvement of tests of cognitive function. We saw a decrease in the two products of cell destruction, beta amyloid and phospho-tau, and we even saw growth of brain tissue in one patient. We had no serious adverse events in 158 injections and only mild side effects of headache in about 10%. These are results that have never been seen before in the field of medicine. In patients with multiple sclerosis, we observed marked improvement in functionality. We published our work in a peer-reviewed journal, earmarking us in 2019 as the first in the world to not only do this, but also to have such groundbreaking results. We brought these results to the FDA in order to produce a more potent pharmaceutical, expanding the patient's stem cells in the lab 20 times their number and selecting them for a special signaling protein that is basically an on-off switch for stem cell activation. We are calling this pharmaceutical Cerawint. The FDA wanted to see this work done in a large animal, and we experimented with this in the Yucatan pig. Our results showed total safety and normal biodistribution without any inflammation. We are happy to report that on September 2nd, 2022, this year, the FDA granted us clearance for a phase 1 trial, and we plan on enrolling our first patients using Cerawint before the end of 2022. This will be the first trial of its kind in the world and will no doubt gain much media attention. The market landscape shows that neurodegenerative disease is at least a $100 billion industry, with solid intellectual property, which includes our novel delivery mechanism and a powerful, already partially pre-FDA tested pharmaceutical. Regeneration Biomedical is poised to make a major impact in the treatment of neurodegenerative diseases. Thanks very much for your interest in Regeneration Biomedical. We look forward to having you along for the ride.